All right, it is 5:02 p.m. and I'm calling this special meeting of the zoning administrator to order. First things first, the ZA statement of purpose. The zoning administrator is appointed by the Planning and Economic Development Director and has the responsibility and authority to conduct public meetings and hearings and to act on applications for minor or reduced review authority projects or entitlements. A determination or decision by the zoning administrator may be appealed to the Design Review Board, the Design Review and Preservation Board, Planning Commission, or City Council as applicable to the decision. All actions taken by the zoning administrator may be appealed within 10 calendar days. If the final day of the appeal period falls on a non-business day, the appeal period will be extended to the next business day. Moving on to the first scheduled item is item 4.1, a public hearing for design review for a mixed-use facility at 625, 631, 635 5th Street and 431 Humboldt Street, file number DR 24-056. Can we have a staff report, please?
Okay, thank you. I'm going to share my screen and go over this project. I can't see the screen. Okay. Okay, there you go. So thank you, Mr. McKay. The project before you is a design review for 425 Humboldt. The applicant is proposing or designing a 7-story mixed-use building that will include 299 residential units, and there will be also some amenities on site for the tenants, including office space, bike storage, and some exercises room. And then also the project will include 180 units for 85 for parking spaces. The project is located right within the downtown area. And the proposed project will take over 3 parcels. They are currently developed with some structures, office spaces. All those structures will be demolished. The site is zone CM, is a core mixed use, which is consistent with our general plan land use designation. The FAR for this area is 8, and per our policy for downtown, the applicant has to propose at the mid FAR, and the proposed project is at 4.69, which meets our midpoint FAR. And here is an overall floor plan or site plan for this project that shows the proposed building. One parcel is at the middle that won't be developed with this project and will stay as it is. And I have not prepared all information about the design review because the applicant has prepared a presentation. So I will share the applicant presentation to go over all the details for the design of this project. And here is the overall landscape for this project. Street trees are being proposed. The project will have an area for the tenants and residents to use for the outdoor space. There will be 2 separate outdoor spaces, one facing the 5th Street and one be at the court area. And so going over the comments that we have received from the public, generally we have received lots of comments supporting the project, mentioning this project is good for the businesses in downtown, is a great location within a walking distance with our transit stops. And then also it's a great infill, meeting our housing goals, and it's also positive impact on our downtown economy. There were some comments about the good design of the project. And however, we have also received comments concerning and opposing the project. The main comment that is opposing the project is about the parking. Some neighbors, residents mentioned concern about the parking that is not enough for this proposed project. However, staff responded to those comments and mentioning the site is located within our downtown station area where there is no minimum parking required. Also, there were comments about height of the building not meeting with the neighborhood design. Again, staff response was the project is in an area that has a FAR 8 and the applicant can even propose taller building than 7-story. Another concern, or the couple people who had concern, was about the noise impact for the construction. There were concerns about the project at 420 Mendocino has been gone through construction for 2 or 3 years, and after that project has been done, now this project will start getting constructed and the noise will continue. There were comments about provide affordable housing on site. We need more affordable housing in downtown. and also a neighbor or residents concerned raised concerns about the reduced privacy and overshadow on their property. But overall, the project was supported. Also, the project was presented to the Design Review Board in January, and there were comments about providing street trees to make it more walkable, and the applicant has considered adding more street trees and also mentioned challenges about the underground utilities. One of the main comments was about the salmon color or the red color on the building, and the applicant has changed that color, provided different colors there. There were comments about provide gardens for the neighbors, and the applicant has mentioned would consider or investigate that request. Also, there were mentions about adding solar panels, and also the applicant said they will investigate and see if they can add solar panels on that property. And then overall, the comments from the board were also in supporting the project and having positive comments. They were asking for providing more colors to break the mass of the building. And today I have received two more emails, two people who are also supporting project. We have received email from D. Swanheiser. He is strongly supporting the project, and he also encourages the city to increase percentage of affordable housing units in the city up to 15%. And we have received email from James Lloyd. He is from the California Housing Defense Fund. He also reminds the city of its obligation to support this project and approve it, and explains that this project meets the zoning codes and general plan and also complies with the CEQA requirements. And the project has been reviewed in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act, and this project qualifies for two exemptions: the statutory exemption 151A2 and the categorical exemption, which is the infill one, and is 15332. And with that, the Planning and Economic Development Department recommends that the zoning administrator by resolution approve a design review permit for the 425 Humboldt apartment project located at 625, 631, 635 5th Street and 431 Humboldt Street. Project file number is DR24-056. And that was my presentation. If the zoning administrator has no question, I will share the applicant's presentation.
Yeah, let's proceed with the applicant's presentation. Thank you.
Rob, would you like to make your introduction on the first two slides, and then I'll jump in?
Great. So my name is Harold Robinson, and I'm the president of IGH Partners. IGH Partners is the managing member and the sponsor of the whole development. So I'd like to thank everybody for seeing us today. Connor, it's nice to meet you. And on the second slide, I'd just like to talk a little bit about how our vision came together and why this has been such a great project for us here in Santa Rosa. So to start my thoughts about this, the one thing that sticks out for us as a developer more than anything else about Santa Rosa has been the opportunity to partner with the city. And that has made it possible to achieve our vision. And the reason that we've been able to do that is because it's been easy for us to align goals and as we develop the project. And a perfect example is when this project started, and the first time that we entitled it was 3 weeks before COVID hit. And we were only about 83 units at that point. So we had to put the whole project on hold, and we were faced with very significant challenges around cost. And of course, we couldn't build at all during COVID because of the supply chain disruptions. As we came out of COVID, we ended up expanding the project to its 299 unit case. And we had to look at a lot of changes and a lot of different things that we wanted to achieve. And having the city there supporting us from the beginning really helped us. And a big one for us was how do we energize the downtown businesses and energize the streets that we're on? And we came up with this mixed use plan where we have what we're calling live work units, where we can have work on the first level and residents above. And that was a great solution that we think is going to work. But we needed to have the support of the city to help us kind of sort that out. Another one that we're looking at now, we've always been a market rate project. And now I think there's an opportunity where we might be able to provide some low income. And that feels good for Tom and I, my partner. And we just never thought that that would be possible and be able to afford the cost of building the project. So those are two examples of how having a strong partnership with the city and the developer really work. And it's not always like that. I've developed in lots of other places around the country. So my watchword and real thanks is that we've had such a great partnership. So thank you.
Great. Tom, did you want to say anything?
With respect to parking, we are providing 184, 185 spaces. Yesterday, I had a conversation with parking director, and we will be renting or giving parking passes or permits to tenants for the rest of the parking on site, plus some guest parking, hopefully. Work out some sort of arrangement for that. I understand the building, the construction period will be tough for the neighborhood, without any question, but there'll be 300 spaces, 300 permits on a revolving basis for our contractors and subcontractors. And Descor, our contractor, made that request yesterday. So things are developing in that area. We're very sympathetic about taking up all the parking. Apparently, another project was very difficult in that neighborhood because they did not make those arrangements, and we are. There's no question, however, in all honesty, there will be an impact on the parking. When this building is built, there'll be deliveries during construction and afterwards. There will be guests coming, and at some point, the parking structure on Fifth and on Fifth Street Garage will be fully parked up with permit parking or day-to-day parking, and the same will be true with the parking garage on 7th Street. And the ultimate plan for the downtown specific plan, station area specific plan is 7,000 units. That's not going to happen very soon. And so far, after 5 years, there are 258, 168 of which are not completed yet. We will more than double that and hopefully be finishing in 2027. But finally, also, I just want to thank the staff and Monet and Sheikh Holly and Susie Murray. Really, we would not have made it without you guys. You deny that, but you gave us counsel throughout this while being very strict to keep us on the straight and narrow with regard to the specific plan. Nothing was stretched. It's a beautiful building. We will add some more color, elements in that design which are creative, color on the underneath of the 195 balconies, and I could go on, but in any case, I'll turn it over to Marty to give you specifics of the design. But it's a very good building. It will be a credit to the downtown, and it will have 3 coats of stucco, absolutely for sure.
High quality stucco.
Very high quality.
Thank you, Tom. On slide number 3 here, I'll leave this slide here as we introduce ourselves. I'm Martin Ball from CCBG Architects. We're a firm out of Phoenix with the San Diego
Could you speak up,
office.
please? We can't hear you back here with your back to us.
Sure thing.
Thank you.
My name is Martin Ball. I'm an architect with CCBG Architects out of Phoenix, and we have a San Diego office as well. I'm here with Brianna Morrison, who will speak to landscape issues. She's with Carlisle Macy here in Santa Rosa. On this 3D view that we see in slide 3, we see the 299 unit building. It is a 5/2 mixed use, non-high-rise building. It is an urban infill that contains multifamily, includes live work, and includes retail. I think if we could go to the next slide, we'll see on the site plan, the orientation of the building fronts on Fifth Street to the right on the slide, Humboldt on the top of the slide, and Riley on the bottom of the slide. We have an interior property line on the left side, which is the north end of the slide, Humboldt Apartments. If we could go to the next slide, please. Our goal was to try to emulate the pattern of development that we see in downtown Santa Rosa by creating many points of entry and a human scale with multiple storefront opportunities along the Humboldt frontage in blue, the Fifth Street frontage also in blue, and now wrapping the corner on the Riley frontage. In pink, we see amenity spaces along Humboldt, and at the corner of Fifth and Riley, we have a retail suite. Next slide, please. On the second floor, we see the expression of the living unit, which is on the second floor, workspace on the first floor, follow that same pattern, and the balance of the standard parking spaces that are accessed via an internal ramp. Next slide, please. A 3D view of the corner of Humboldt and Fifth, we can see prominently in this view, and in the next slide, please, the lobby entry at the corner, which features bike racks, a place for art, and also sunshades, as well as a two-story view through to the interior of the lobby. Next slide. In this 3D view, we see Fifth Street and Riley, which features our retail space at the corner. It's a similar expression, similar scale, and our goal was to express the opportunity to activate that frontage at sidewalk level with a retail suite. The other thing that this view shows, and if we could go to the next slide, is the extension to the left of the live-work retail suites that open onto now the corner closer to the Fifth Street frontage. And above on the second floor, we see the living space, which has a clear story window like to that pattern of development that we see along 4th Street for the small scale commercial. I'll leave the street trees and the planters for Brianna to walk through, but we see an expression of that now on the Humboldt frontage with an extension of that vocabulary of street trees running down the entire length of our project. Next slide, please. Big change that we've had since we went through design review was to rethink exactly what the composition of the Riley frontage was. The request was to wrap the activated uses around the corner closer to 5th Street and to take those PG&E and utility spaces to the far north end of the project. So we've recomposed the entire Riley facade. You can see in the foreground, close to the left, one of our 2 garage entries. Both are on the Riley facade. And then a series of doors which lead into the various required PG&E vaults and electrical spaces, water service entry, et cetera. One of the challenges, one of the requests, and Brianna can speak to this as well, that we have on the Riley frontage is that it is a narrow street and it is full of utilities underground, which is where we would like to be able to extend a language of street trees, but there simply is not space for root balls to grow in there. So we have not been able to extend those into that space between the 420 Mendocino and our own building on Riley. Next slide, please. The composition of the levels 3 through 7, which are our primary residential floors, is like to a donut with one bite taken out of it. There's a holdout lot that the owners have chosen not to be a part of the project, and that is absolutely their right. So what we have in the end is a 1-to-1 proportion courtyard 5 stories high and 55 feet wide in the lateral space and more than 200 feet long in the linear space. So we feel that we're going to get a good amount of sunshine in that central courtyard, which Brianna and the team at Carlisle Macy has generated this design for. The other piece to the courtyard experience faces Fifth Street, and it's really like a terrace that overviews Fifth Street. So all residents will have the ability to have that view over Fifth Street. This interior courtyard and the Fifth Street courtyard are connected by an amenity space that's available to all residents. Next slide, please. I think that we can go through the elevations and materials which are expressed here and come back and answer any questions that we may have. They are simply a 2D representation of the 3D views that we have seen. And if we could jump forward to slide number 16, move forward through the sections. There we go. And this one's sideways, my apologies. We'll let Brianna have a few moments to talk a little bit about her work on the project.
Everybody crane your neck.
Oh, no. Not you. So it seems you can do this one.
You can't rotate a page without Pro. Wow, thanks, Adobe.
Well, we're gonna use our imaginations. So I will just,
There's a success.
oh, there we go. Yay,
yeah.
okay, great.
It's going somewhere.
You should be able to blow it out.
There we go.
There we go.
Down
Yeah,
in the
could
corner, lower corner.
Could you zoom in? Do you mind on the?
See those little plus signs down the lower right?
There you go.
Okay,
Nice.
beautiful. So I will talk first about the ground floor amenities and then we'll move up into the courtyards.
Can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I'll talk about the ground floor
Okay,
first, and
thank
then I'll
you.
talk about
Thank
the raised amenities.
Yeah.
So it's an infill site, so most of the landscape space is going to be on the built structure. Along the street frontage, we've got the Humboldt Street frontage, which has LID planters against the building. Those are raised flow-through planters. And there was a request by the Design Review Board to consider adding street trees there because of the reduction in some of the LID planters. We were able to add those street trees, and we think that's a really nice thing. We're happy to do that. On Fifth Street, there are some existing trees, and some of them are in better shape than others. So we're going to remove the ones recommended by our arborist, and then we're going to fill in between. And all the street trees will be in tree grates. On Riley Street, as Marty mentioned, it is packed full of underground utilities. There are existing boxes in the sidewalk that have to stay. There's joint trench a foot from the face of curb that's existing, and then we're gonna add more. And on the northern end, there's a water line that's running right in the gutter. It's just, there's too much going on underground. Additionally, there are no other trees on Riley from 5th to 7th. It's all garage entries. It just doesn't feel appropriate to put trees there. Additionally, there is a surmountable curb on the Art House property, and we're extending that surmountable curb along the Riley frontage all the way to 5th. That's not required by the police department, but it's done at the Art House. We're going to continue it. That gives the fire department more room to navigate in that narrow street. If we put street trees there, it really defeats the purpose of that. So we really believe that the street trees make way more impact and will actually survive and thrive on the Humboldt and the 5th Street sides. Moving up to the courtyards, we've got 3 courtyards, only 2 of which are accessible from people in the building. So the courtyard on the northern end has maintenance access, but it does not have any amenities for people. It's really a visual amenity for the people at the ground level and for anybody above looking down. There will be green space. We are doing stormwater treatment there through flow-through planters. The central courtyard is the main amenity space. It will be in shade in varying parts of the day. But we believe that there are enough intriguing amenities within the space to bring people out there. We've got fire pits closer to the building, so when it's in shade, people can find warmth there. We have catenary lights that go through the whole space that will help brighten it up whenever it's in shadow. We've got this, I don't know if Marty talked about it, but the sort of center space that connects the central courtyard and the Fifth Street courtyard is like a business center.
Mhm.
And it has a very Californian in-out space, so like glass frontage with countertops that help that space feel like a seamless connection. So we've kind of extended that further with picnicking and seating areas. We've got gaming spaces with, something like cornhole or ping pong, things that people can do together as groups. So we really believe that we've provided a lot of amenities there. And then additionally, we have trees to provide some scale and to provide some shade and color. We have LID stormwater treatment planters, and then we have a variety of perennial ornamental plantings. On the Fifth Street courtyard, again, it has that same connection to the interior building space, and we provided additional seating, again, the same kind of flow-through planters and ornamental plantings. And then one of the comments was that there's no shade there because it has a southern exposure. It may be very warm. So we do have trees there, and I'll say as we've developed the design, we've actually added more trees. So it'll get plenty of shade for the people using the space. I think that's all I have to say. Oh, it's going to be a pedestal paving system because it's built on a third floor slab.
Yep. I'll just conclude comments and certainly open it up to any questions we may have by highlighting the amenity spaces for residents. Brianna's described for us the level 3 courtyard and the Fifth Street terrace that occurs there, as well as the community room that connects the two pieces. That's an important place for residents. It's a great meeting place. We also offer on level 7 above Fifth Street and Humboldt, there is a sky deck, which is essentially a resident party room that they can have birthday parties or gatherings in. And it has a great opportunity for view over downtown Santa Rosa and to the hills beyond. Should be a really pretty space. On level 2, we have a fitness room and also a co-work space with an overlook into the 2-story lobby. And then on level 1, in addition to the lobby, we have a resident dog wash and a bike storage room with a fix-it station and air pumps planned. I think the thing that excited us about being involved in the project from the beginning is the fact that the primary amenity here for this building is really downtown Santa Rosa. It's walkable to shopping. It's walkable to the light rail. It is, a great location to find whatever you need, events, dinner, or visit the local shops or the library, all within walking distance. And it really walks the walk and talks the talk of live green, live downtown, which is what the team really wants to feature. So it's an exciting thing for us to be a part of. It's what we do in downtown Phoenix, where we try to bring housing to our downtown environment, and it's radically changed downtown Phoenix and brought more people and activity to our downtown. So we're really excited to be a part of it.
Great, thank you, appreciate that.
I also want to mention, Mr. Swan said that the applicant has provided signed petitions from a couple of downtown businesses who are also supporting the project. So it was included as a part of the comments package. And there were a couple pages of signatures that the applicant gathered from the business owners in downtown.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so before we open up for public comment, I just have a few questions for the applicant. One of the comments that the design review board provided was the unit type breakdowns. And I was wondering if you could just kind of give us a overview of like the economics of unit type breakdowns, just so we can understand the approach to, I think, 197 one bedrooms and that number greatly outweighing the sum of all the other unit types. So any clarification or clarity on that would be super helpful.
So we spent a lot of time studying kind of the optimum room count for a place like Santa Rosa. We also engaged a national consulting firm called the Conquer Group to help us with that. And what we came up with is that Santa Rosa is a community that has a lot of single resident type units outside of town and not a lot of studios. And so that is why we only have about 15% of our rooms are actually studios, because you could go half a mile out of town and get a single. So we actually weighted our unit count more towards singles as opposed to really small studios, because we wanted to be able to really compete and attract people downtown with a product that they could otherwise get just a half mile away. So that was a big consideration for us. Also, in a multifamily of this size, you do want to have a good mixture of doubles, which we have. All of our doubles are 2-2s. And so they're set up so that they can be attractive to two students that go to Sonoma State, and they can have roommates. Or if you have a family there, you can have a bedroom for, let's say, the kid and a bedroom from the parent, and a bathroom for the parents, bathrooms for both. And then the third, and we expect to get tenants that are retired and leaving the country for a smaller property. And if they want to have guests over, they don't want to be sharing a bathroom. So our doubles were designed with that in mind. So those are the kinds of things that we thought about when we were doing our mix. So heavy on singles, because that's what this community really wants. And if you want to draw them into the downtown, you have to give them something that they're used to having in the rest of the community.
Got it. Thank you. Is the parking plan to be unbundled from lease agreements, or what's the plan for like the parking program for residents?
It's unbundled, and in our case, residents will have two choices. One is if they want to have a parking spot in the unit, and we have about 60% coverage. In other words, for every unit, we have a 0.6 parking, and they can pay, so they'll pay for the parking and to have that amenity right there. But we're also going to supply parking offsite in the garage. And for that, we're going to pay. So we'll end up paying the fees to the city so that people can have parking. And, you know, that way you can, if you don't want to increase your rent, you can just walk a block. We're fortunate to have our parking 1 block away from the site. So
In addition, we're really emphasizing living without a car. And we're going to talk to the city about having car share service in Garage 5, or excuse me, the Fifth Street Garage. And in addition, the city has a program whereby they will give us a bus pass for every single resident. And so every tenant is going to have a bus pass. And we're a half a block from the main north-south bus line, which takes people to major employment areas, the junior college, the county administrative center, the Kaiser Permanente and another hospital, plus a business park. And there's a good getting to the county's hub, transportation hub, or city's hub is also 4 blocks, so it's an easy walk. And I lived in San Francisco a long time, and I took the bus, or for a while the cable car, and it's great. You don't have to worry about parking.
Right.
And there's now a bike share in town as well. Yeah.
We have a huge bike room. You may be asking
Yeah.
this question,
So
but
you should look into the partnering with the bike share
We,
program.
we have copyrighted, right, it live green, live downtown. And we're hoping to brand it. One of the things about rents in downtown, and we got our study looked at 5 other cities. You can charge more because people don't have to maintain a car. And if they want to go out to dinner, they have to get in the car. If they want to buy a pencil, or they can walk across Fifth Street to Corix. I mean, it's just convenient as heck. And I'm hopeful we'll get a grocery store down there, maybe a Trader Joe's or something. We'll see. I mean, I don't know why the plaza doesn't do that. They have the parking, but they want more residents right in the area.
actually, in
What happened?
terms of the branding, we're not branding it just for us. We'd like to get everybody downtown using the slogan. And we've even talked to other folks that are developers about, incorporating that that are downtown into their marketing. So that's the whole beauty of being down in a downtown core like this.
And there are 4 other projects in the offing, sites owned by Cornerstone within at most 2 blocks. Most of them are a block away. One's right across Humboldt Street, the old Pedersen's building at 707 Fifth, and that's going to get developed into housing. And they're going to park in that garage. And let's hope that it happens sooner rather than later. But you think about it, we've doubled the number of housing units, and at least in the Courthouse Square sub-area. And those folks will more than double it if they build all those out in the near future. So it's going to change. In 10 years, it'll be really different. And hopefully it'll be a grocery, which would really complete the package of amenities that will attract people.
Cool, thank you. Was there any consideration of a retail space on the corner of Fifth and Humboldt? I noticed that's where a residential amenity building would be, and on Fifth and Riley, there's a retail space, but was there any thought of?
We always, the ideal place for our lobby was Fifth and Humboldt. We picked that specifically because Humboldt is a much more neighborhood type of a street. And so having our lobby there, the whole place feels like it's part of the neighborhood. And then the Riley and Fifth was, there's already been retail along that whole street. So
With the lobby, it's 3,500 square feet if you gather together not simply the open lobby space with the desk and so on, but the rental office and a variety of other functions, mailroom and so on. And one hope is that we can have a coffee amenity there, which could be available to people in the neighborhood. Another possibility with that would be for that late afternoon, early evening hours, beer and wine, and a gathering place, a third space, as some city planners talk about. That would be a perfect place. Fifth Street has been kind of the poor brother or sister of the downtown, but we two-wayed it 20 years ago or so, and it immediately picked up. You'll notice there aren't a lot of vacant spaces along there. There's been some shift in the tenants, but it has the possibility. I know 420 is doing a full-service restaurant at the corner of Riley and Fifth, and they've got the venting and so on necessary and all the different connections for a cooking line and the whole deal. So we are not going to go that route, but there'll very likely a cafe at that corner, which would be kind of a mate to that amenity. And it's going to be terrific. I mean, it will really attract people. I think there's been a need for this in Santa Rosa since I got here in the 90s. We had a charrette then, and people were talking about housing in downtown. Well, it's taken a little while, but now we're going to have it. The big thing there was reunifying the square, which took a long time.
the other thought that we had is that the most direct walk to Fourth Street is from Humboldt and Fifth, because the street to get to Fourth Street is only 20 yards away from Humboldt. They're not quite together. But if we had put the lobby, let's say, down on Fifth and Riley, you'd have to walk half a block and then go around the corner to get to downtown. So the whole idea is to get people into the downtown and going to the stores, going to the restaurants. Every time they have a friend come by, they're going to want to go out to dinner and just make it easy.
Right, yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. Is there any conceptual plan for your compliance with the inclusionary housing ordinance?
We're working on it.
We are.
We're at 5 units. We think we're going to have to increase them, and we're doing it for economic reasons. The fee schedule gives a huge break on park fees if you can meet the inclusionary housing, which is apparently, we're hearing 4% of your total units. Whether or not you count the mixed-use units on the first floor, I don't know, but that could be 12. We're hoping it's only 11. There's a certain amount of financial give up that we can sustain and still have a pencil, and it's very close.
Okay, cool. And then I noticed on the courtyard, there's artificial turf selected, and I was wondering what the thought process was behind that.
Maybe you should take that.
I'm against it.
Well, it was proposed, I think, when we were developing this, kind of fast and furious, trying to figure out amenities, there was an idea of, do you need a pet relief area on the courtyard? And could that be a play space on the, an additional play space on the courtyard that's not pedestal pavers, or, we've got, it could be concrete pavers or wooden pavers up there, but having just a different surface that people can touch. Artificial turf is not the best, but there are some nice versions of it that could work just to provide, especially for a game space. We have 2 cornhole units shown on that conceptually in the plan, and having something that's not hard is just a nice change. So, but it's not set in stone. Obviously, it's up for conversation, but we wanted to have sort of show that we could have a flexible space that's could be programmed with games or could be not. That's different than just, expansive paving. So.
The courtyard concept has been part of our design since the very beginning, which is when we were back at 83 units was our first cut at this. And so we've always had the courtyard as an amenity, as opposed, there's lots of other designs that we could have used that wouldn't even have a courtyard. So we've put a lot of thought into it, and we'll continue. I mean, this is one of those areas that we can change and that we can continue to design as we get closer to the finish line. But right now, this bigger structure has given us so many different options. We have a pass-through that goes from a courtyard looking down on 5th Street, which is going to be absolutely cool. I mean, to be able to look down at what's going on kind of in the city. It's going to be up above. It's going to be very sunny and warm. Go through what it will amount to kind of a game room area into the other courtyard, which will have a completely different feel with barbecues and fires and things like that. So it's going to be a really interesting place, and not all multifamilies have the ability to do this.
And Brianna, excuse my comment, because I really have not considered, can you grow grass successfully there? Are there varieties that will work? It's going to be very mixed in the wintertime. It's not going to get a lot of light, it's going to get a lot of rain, and it may not work. So it may be that out of necessity, we have to pick, hopefully, one of the more attractive forms of artificial turf. So you're the horticulturalist, I am not, so.
I will just jump in and say that in most of our outdoor spaces that are on top of parking structures, we see a combination of things that are tools in the toolbox that Carlisle Macy is using in this proposal. Having a little bit of green space that you can put your toes on literally is kind of nice in a space, particularly in Phoenix where everything's 120 degrees. It's nice to have that relief, but it also really makes a nice space for whether it's a beanbag toss game or croquet, and sitting up on the pedestal pavers, it gives us a good drainage mat underneath for the entire deck, as opposed to trying to grow a turf product on top of a type 1 cast in place concrete structure. So I think that it's a nice addition, and just from the visual cue that you get from that little bit of soft space, in addition to the sort of springier and livelier plants that Carlisle Macy is bringing into the planters. So I think we'd probably like to include some part of the deck with that softness.
And it's included on the side closest to the building that's going to be in shade where we're already going to be fighting nature to get things to grow really, really vibrantly. So I think we're using it in a very constrained, thoughtful, specific location.
Cool,
Proposing it anyway.
thank you. I think that's all I've got. Let's see, is this, at this point, would you like to make any comments about the project, about what you saw at DRB, about anything that they've said so far?
Sure, yeah, hold on, some, question.
Oh yeah, this is board member Sharon on the design review board.
I got to meet everyone in person, but my name is Adam for the member of the public who just came in.
If you can just speak up a little bit.
Oh,
it'd be
yes, sorry
great.
about that. My name is Adam.
Hi,
I'm a
Adam,
member of the
yes.
design review board.
Janice Carmen. Okay.
Good to meet you. I'm a member of the design review board, representing the city's
Fantastic.
design
Okay.
review board. So
Good.
providing some comments and questions. This is actually my first time seeing the presentation because I wasn't at the January meeting. So it's I was sad that I missed that meeting because I wanted to see this project be presented. So I'm really glad to get to see it. One question about the coloring that was changed on the plans. So the salmon is out, but which color is chosen actually for those? Is it the grayish? Is it the blue?
No, it's actually kind of a coppery tan
Okay.
color.
Yeah, is it-
So we toned it down.
Top one.
I may not outlive my temptation with maroon color from DRB, but we've toned it down a bit and it's not quite as punchy as it was.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I have my purple pants on today, so you can see that I'm supportive of punchy colors. So okay, yeah. So it's the sort of it's more muted.
It is a more muted version. Yes.
yeah,
And you can see it in the example on screen now.
So yeah, it's just those panels and then the gray that's there. So okay. And I wondered because I didn't, and sometimes it's just with computer renderings, it's the colors don't really translate, and so it's more of a copper.
Yeah.
Not like because to me it looked sort of like a beige sort of drab. You went from like a color to what I call a non-color, like where it's sort of like in between and sort of hints at things but doesn't actually commit to it.
It is a little softer
Yeah.
than it was originally proposed, but it does have a little bit of color to it.
So it's a bit pink, not the pink, but the copper.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got that feel to it.
Okay.
And just for reference, you can see in the rendering some better than others. When you get in close, the gray is actually a brick texture. So it's
Okay.
kind of a
Okay,
gray
great.
brick.
Yeah, excellent. Now I'm getting a better picture of it. Because the rest of the board, you got a lot of comments that it was a little too vibrant, a little too eye-catching. I wonder if it was more of like the tone of the pink, the salmon that kind of caught people's eyes. Because I personally thought that having some more of an accent color, especially on the ground plane, was welcome. And so I'm glad to hear that there's still some color to it and that it still has some vibrancy and is not just sort of went straight to just kind of like blander street level. Because
I will say that I started with my temptation with maroon from the street art that is a block over on Mendocino at the parking lot on two sides, which is extremely vibrant.
yeah, I mean,
So that was kind of my starting point, and
Yeah.
we can tone it down a little from that, but and we have, but that was kind of the nascence of it.
So yeah, my feedback would be to keep some of the color and the vibrancy, to keep the energy on the ground plane. Because it's nice to have that up above. You've got great accents. I like what you mentioned about having, I can't even remember how many of the balconies you said you have, but you have an opportunity.
195.
Yeah, you have an opportunity for pops of color or something. I think it's great. Little details like that are going to just add to the project. And so, having that rhythm on the ground plane is going to be great too. Because, as you're walking down this street, it's going to be great to be engaging with this. And that's one of the things I do like also about what you're doing with the live work units on the ground plane. In the original proposal, I really enjoyed it on the Humboldt and the Fifth Street side. And then seeing that they were sort of displaced on Riley, I do like that you brought that all together. And that is going to provide a really great streetscape, I think, for the entire block. It's really great. And I think that you've really addressed some of the back of house criticisms that the board gave for Riley Street. That it was just sort of, utilities and walls. And I feel like you've added more things. You've added, it's treated more sensitively. Totally understand about the street trees on Riley Street, but great that you were able to add the street trees on Humboldt. I'm really glad about that. I know the board's going to be really glad about that as well. And also that you're looking into the inclusionary housing and adding that. That's one thing, as the DRB representative, thanks for responding to our concerns and our feedback. You guys did a good job with responding well to that. So thank you. One other comment just at the end with the Fifth and Humboldt lobby versus the Fifth and Riley. It's a tough question there. Having that corner, I can see it being, you're activating it for the residents to get them onto that. And that's true about getting over to 4th Street there.
One thought though, it's not just for the residents, because, we have that whole Humboldt Street activated with businesses.
Yeah.
And so the easiest view, if you're coming from 4th, is having the lobby where it is, you get a full street view. There's parking, it's open space around it, but you're going to be looking right down Humboldt, and that's where the businesses are.
Yeah.
Or you're going to be looking down 5th. So we're trying to activate, we want to bring some business out of just 4th Street in Santa Rosa to expand, downtown business.
Definitely. And because I actually live on Humboldt Street way farther down. But it's, I go to downtown often on this, as I know this nexus of the town. And so that is a great observation that downtown seems to kind of end right there. And so to have more, you're creating more, you're knitting more of the fabric, which I really commend that for this project. Just in general, I think it's going to be definitely a community asset. And I didn't mean to just say that the corner was just for residents, but that I say that that's where the lobby is. But when I heard the mention of that there's a potential for, say, like a coffee cart or some sort of pop-up thing, you've got those businesses there. But then if you have that resident amenity, but if you have something that could be sort of an informal thing, I'd definitely encourage that to have something. Thinking of like the Hotel E, where they have the wine bar that's open to the public. And, as you're on Courthouse Square, you can look over there and see it, and you see people in there and you want to go in there. Here, you're walking there, you see it's a lobby, but there's also a coffee cart, and it looks really interesting, and you want to get your pastry.
So it's interesting you say that. One of the things, the use of lobbies in multi-families changed. If you went back 10 or 12 years, I was doing development in Phoenix. It was all about game rooms and big TVs and seeing sports and that kind of stuff in these kind of mid-rise apartments. But now it's not about that. There's so many people that live work at home that aren't going to be on our live work, but all throughout the whole floors. They want to have business meetings and be able to bring people over and sit down. And so that your lobby has changed. And so we're incorporating that into our 2-story lobby as well. So all of that is, how do you get people from the downtown to kind of see and utilize that space and make it easy for someone to say, hey, let's have the business meeting at my place on 5th and Humboldt.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And it's all the multi-use aspect, thinking of, like a train station lobby. It's almost like an urban park in a way, but it is providing.
So my dream was to
activating
have we'd love to have a coffee shop and the first one right next to our lobby, for someone to set that business up and try it out. And if the town expands big enough beyond 4th, that could be a great business. But we'll see, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I encourage that, just to kind of save a little, keep that idea in there as you're doing it. And just one last thought too. I I was really excited to see the live work concept that you guys are proposing for the ground floor and, just the ground and second floor to have that. I don't see that too often in town. It's more of a bigger urban area type of amenity, but I could definitely see those being very attractive. And it's I think a really great concept to bring into town. And I'm really excited to see that, and because provides so many, just with where our culture is right now in society, we talked about work from home, everything, it's all flexible now. And so if we can offer these types of flexible arrangements, it's going to be great. And it's a street activity as well, lights at night, everything. It's going to be great. And so thank you for responding to our comments, and thanks for bringing this project back to us. And I look forward to it.
Great. Thank you, Board Member Sharon. With that, I will open the public comment for this item.
If you're attending in person and would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. You did a really good job.
Oh, can you speak louder? I can't hear you.
Oh, we can't hear you either, see? Too. Thank you for the presentation. You did really well with that. I was glad to hear you from Phoenix, and you were from here, or you're from San Francisco now?
I live in the Bay Area, but I lived here for many years.
Yes, good. Well, it's good. It's good to have people that sort of know the area. And anyway, how I got chained to the city and interested in government is because I ran for city council along with the other people in the general election. I didn't win, but I'm keeping up with it pretty well. But I was wondering, how long is this project going to take? Do you have an idea as far as, I know rain and other things come into it, but like, how long is it going to be tying up the construction part of it? Do you have an idea?
Can you just provide your comments and questions, and then we can answer all the
Oh,
questions
okay,
and
all right.
comments at
So
the
I'm
end.
going to ask that. And then I wanted to know if you could offer a general concept of the rents, what the rents are going to look like as it goes. I liked his comments about the color and the coppery idea on the highlighting in the street level. And then also there's a terrible problem that's developed here, and it's graffiti. And you've probably noticed if you've walked around at all, or, been by the businesses, and it's kind of new. I don't know, you probably know when it started better than me, but I was wondering about the color of what the ground floor is, if that's able to like fix easily. I know that's like way out there, but that's what I'm thinking. And then I thought I heard something about a skywalk. Did I?
Sky deck.
Oh, a sky deck. Okay. Because I've been places where there's sky walks, and I'm just thinking, put it in your mind. I talked about it for a long time. Shoot it across, so you're right down on 4th Street. You take a little walk, or you take the elevator down, or whatever. But think about skywalks in the future. And I like the work units idea. I had somebody I went to high school with. In fact, they started SAY, which went away recently. And the attention that had been put to what you were looking at when you were in the certain parts of the complex with the back of the houses or whatever, that it possibly would fit in better is how I took that. But anyway, those are the only questions I'm asking. But otherwise, I'm really glad I came tonight and heard your presentation.
Great, thank you. Is anybody else in attendance and wishing to make a public comment? Okay, so with that, I will close the public comment and give the applicant an opportunity to respond to any of those questions.
I can talk about graffiti.
Okay, I was going to talk about it too, but go for it.
Oh, well, first of
You're
all,
way better at it. Do it.
first of all, the Downtown Action Organization has an anti-graffiti program, and it's very effective. When you call up, you see someone on your building. I called them days ago because we got tagged on the northerly building on our site, and they'll come fix it. If you give them your paint color, they will match it, and then it's effective. For downtown, and I live in Oakland, you don't know what graffiti is, folks. That town is a swamp with graffiti, and they don't have a program to take care of it. But the DAO will do quite a bit. And Rob, if you want to go ahead on any of the others.
I'll address the time for construction or the length of construction. Typically for a project this size, especially since it's infill, which makes it more difficult, you would look at least a 24-month schedule. Sometimes you can get away with a little bit less. right now, believe it or not, we're thinking we might have to expand that schedule because there's so much uncertainty around what's going to happen to supply chains, which is not good for us. It's not good for anybody else, but it's just a fact of life in the United States right now. So, but our goal is to start the project this year and to be done in about 24 months.
To make that happen, you would have to have cooperation from PG&E, which is, in case you don't know, very hard to get priority. We've applied for one. The low income component, which we're going to be adding to the project, will help. But the city has got a terrific relationship with PG&E. We're under consideration. We could begin as early as June if that comes through. I want to go into the intricacies, but we have a major issue because the power lines on Humboldt are too close to the site to use certain types of equipment. For instance, to drill the piers, you have to be 10 feet away from the machinery. Otherwise, you can have an arc and people can get hurt. So we're working on that. I don't know how it's going to come out, but we're in the middle of it. That's really the last piece of the puzzle in terms of getting permitted, other than supplying the city with the different iterations of the plans. Hopeful no one appeals, but even then I expect that it would go to the council and the council will decide quickly, whichever way they wanted on any appeal. But it's going very, very well. And if we can get the situation with PG&E smoothed out, which hopefully Steve Gurney and his colleagues can work out, they were able to help 420 Mendocino. Why not us? So anyway, it's been great working with the city. I mean, it really is truly as if we had additional people as part of our team, both to keep us on the straight and narrow, but also with good ideas. And, you know, it's an intricate process, the planning process. The fees are intricate. You back into things you have no idea about, and it's not all explicit. And you can read all the regulations like Monet has and memorize them, but there's some gray areas which you can get tripped up on. But they have done a great job. It really is phenomenal, all of you. And, you know, we've entitled this thing, assuming things come out okay tonight, in 90 days. Go anywhere else in California. We filed on December 19th for design review, and it's now the 19th of March. You don't want, she's worried you're going to get more work because more developers are going to come to town.
And I will add one thing. Not all developers approach a project the way we've approached it, which is we brought on our architect, our builder, and construction management team all at the same time. And we've put together, you know, what I consider, you know, kind of a world-class team. But the benefit of doing that is that we're all communicating from day one, starting in, we restarted this whole thing in October. And so that's going to allow us to move more quickly, not only in the pre-construction, which is where we are now, but also as we move into construction. And so that's, you know, for us, we have every motivation to finish up the project as quickly as we can. And that's one way you can do it. Not everybody does it because it's sometimes hard to organize a team like that from day one. You got to really trust the people you're working with. But
consider that 40% of the soft lumber that comes in the United States, in other words, framing lumber, comes from overseas. And we know what's going on with that. We don't know what the supply chain's going to be like. We'll do our best. And we're literally to the point of contacting lumber companies that have acreage and produce soft lumber products. So we also have the advantage of Paragon Construction Consulting, which manages projects all over Northern California. And they have real-time information. And that's where Rob's comment comes from about people stretching out their construction schedule because you don't know whether you can get the stuff to build with. And, you know, there could be a hiatus, which would be a bad thing, but it could happen.
Okay, great.
Still another question.
Did you have any?
There was still another question.
I'm sorry, public comment is over. I'm sure you can get with them after the meeting and get your
If you
questions
come
answered.
over to the Russian River Group Hub, yes, but otherwise not.
Did you have any final thoughts or anything for the applicant of the project?
No, I think I
Okay.
all my comments before. Thank you.
Great, thank you for being here again. Yeah, so thank you for the staff and the applicant team for the presentation and the discussion. Very lively and interactive. I think this is another good step towards the vitalization of our downtown. Economic development wise, we're hopefully building in customers and workers into the fabric of the downtown area, which is, as we all know, the most sustainable place to develop in terms of people's lifestyles and infrastructure and everything like that. I do, on a smaller note, really appreciate the bike fix-it station as an amenity because I anticipate and I'm optimistic that a lot of folks in this development would be using a bicycle as hopefully their primary means of transportation. And I've had my bicycle break on me quite a few times, and it's just another barrier to not just being lazy and getting in my car and driving. So that is a small but major component of this project that I'm a fan of. I appreciate the consideration of the comments that were made by the design review board. I think as we've heard tonight, that was a very fruitful exercise. Oftentimes we see developers kind of just go to the concept and just check off that box, and it's not super clear of how that investment of our community's time really was fruitful for the project as a whole. So the discussion tonight and my examination of the plans really reflects that effort. So I appreciate that thoughtfulness. And the street trees, I think, is going to be a huge thing for that pedestrian streetscape as well. The connection of the courtyards is really interesting and kind of innovative in my opinion as well, with the residential amenity space in between. It seems like a really nice, high quality of life kind of component of the project. And then even all the way down to the expansion of that surmountable curb. I didn't really know exactly what that was until the context was provided. And I think that is also just another signal from the developer that they're trying to make the best project that they can, and providing additional fire department access to that is definitely a good public safety improvement. All that said, I think 197 one-bedroom units is, I understand the economics of it. As you've demonstrated, I'm not a housing developer, I'm not an economist, but I do know that we have a growing loneliness epidemic in our country, and I'm optimistic that the thoughtful residential amenity spaces will bring people together, and the placement of that amenity building at the corner of Fifth and Humboldt will kind of provide a more homely atmosphere. But at the same time, it would be nice to see more 2 and any 3-bedroom units. But I understand that that is a difficult hurdle for these types of developments, and I wouldn't let perfection be the obstacle of progress, I think is a phrase. Yeah, so like I said, very supportive of this project. I want to give, I don't know how strict we are on approved landscape plans, but I do want to encourage the exploration of some other solution besides artificial turf. I've heard a good defense of the turf tonight. But if you do that exercise, I don't want you to be limited by any approved landscape plan. So I think, I don't know if it needs to be a condition or if we can just consider that a not final landscape plan that was included in the packet. But I would appreciate some exploration of any other solution if possible.
Can I recommend, can we add the language saying consider alternative?
Yeah, I have explore another landscaping solution on the courtyard where artificial turf is shown on the landscape plan. And I can send you that language as well.
That's good.
Yeah, and you, board member Sharon didn't have any additional conditions or any exploration conditions in mind for this?
No, I didn't, and thank you for bringing up the artificial turf again. Yeah, and I think, do we explore, did you say?
Yeah, explore.
Consider, yeah, because it would, yeah, just, like, I know you guys are evaluating all that, and then, the difficulties there. But, yeah, different textures, different treatments, I guess,
If you have a better language for the condition, I would definitely.
yeah,
welcome
no,
it.
because I think just keeping it as general as possible.
Okay,
Yeah, but just, of course, living is preferable, but, we get what we get, so, because, we get what lives in an area rather than
right.
what we get, so.
Can't force life.
Yeah, but I think the thing to emphasize that softness, the difference in texture, because I think that's what, and when Brianna, when you were talking about that, just having that like some relief is really what's necessary, and so I'm emphasizing that.
Can I ask just for a point of clarification? Is the desire that it has to be a living thing or just that you're not a fan of artificial turf? Just for instance, if there was, I'm not saying this is what we would do, but rubberized surfacing. Is that?
Exactly, yeah, that's why there are other kind of options, and even you
Yeah.
mentioned, like having wood planking or just something, there's creative things out there, probably even new things that you don't even know about yet. So it's just keeping it, I think, yeah, I don't think we need to say it has to be living. I think just exploring options.
Okay.
It's,
Okay.
but
Just
I
wanna
think
sure.
like one, I mean, when with the live green aspect, it's the artificial turf sort of goes against almost every aspect of that. So, anyway, it's green. That's the only way it goes with it. But it's made out of plastic. It's artificial. It's hard. It's it's going to degrade over
You
time.
don't want those little black things popping up.
That hurts.
over.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the little things, but it's that's why turf has its, like, artificial turf has its place, but it's so complicated. And as Brianna mentioned, it's to get good artificial turf is real expensive, but it is really good. But bad artificial turf is really bad.
Okay, so maybe explore another solution on the courtyard where artificial turf is shown on the landscaping plan. So it's not another landscaping solution, but just some other solution.
Yeah. Explore alternative ground treatments.
Nice. That sounds much better.
Can you repeat it again?
Yeah. I'll-
Designer to designer.
Appreciate that.
The language. Some green stuff
That's what I would say.
planted.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so thank you, everybody. With that, I approve the project. Let me read the script. Please note this action is final unless an appeal is filed with the city clerk's office within 10 calendar days of today's decision pursuant to zoning code section 2062-030. For this item, that date is Tuesday, April 1st, 2025. And with that, the
31st is Charles, the holiday. Monday, 31st is holiday. So the final day falls on holiday.
April. I think it's Monday, April or March 31st is the appeal deadline because Cesar Chavez is already passed. Right?
No, it's the 31st.
Of March?
Yeah,
It's not, okay, not on my calendar.
Monday's holiday.
We were trying to avoid April 1st for obvious reasons.
That's your approval.
10 days or
So it
10?
starts from today?
10 business days
No,
starting.
it's calendar days.
Calendar.
10 calendar days of today's.
Let me count.
But it doesn't expire on a
19th,
weekend.
20th, 21st, 20.
Oh, so Saturday,
So you were just
so then it goes
interested-
24th,
31st.
25th.
Bumps to the next business day.
So if that 30th is on a non-working day, then it goes to the next business day,
Yeah.
which I think is where we're getting the first.
And that's a national holiday.
I'll just go ahead and adjourn the meeting.
Yeah,
And we can,
that's-
yeah, this isn't the day.